G'day, welcome to another Artistry Ignited video. It's a nice morning here, just watching the pond and having a cup of coffee. Just wanted to talk to you about a modification that I'm going to do to the airlift sponge filter system that I recently set up for this new pond about a week ago. And I thought maybe if I changed the way it works a little bit, it might actually improve the biological status as well as the water flow inside the filter itself. So what we got here is the standard unit that I modified. This was just an original nano filter, and I've just added like a longer uplift tube there. I've lifted the air intake section as well, just to give it some more suction and siphon effect. That seems to be working well. As you can see, it's been sucking up a lot of debris there. So what I figured I'd do, I'm going to put it inside this terracotta pot. I'm going to add some pre-washed riverbed gravel just to weigh it down a bit and to hold it up, as well as more bacteria growing area. And then on top of that, I'm just going to wedge this sponge filter in here. And that will sort of sit on there, acting as a pre-filter. And then the more finer sponge filter won't get blocked up as quick, as well as the fact that it'll help filter the water with finer particles once the larger particles have been sifted through this one. Yeah, it's just an idea I kind of thought of on the top of my head, like most things around the pond here, and I just thought I'd give it a go. I'm sure it'll work fine. Not to mention, these terracotta pots also have really good porous nature about them, so they're also good for growing bacteria. This one's been sort of just sitting around inside my main pond, so it's got quite a lot of beneficial bacteria. Well, it will do if I don't leave it sitting here in the sun. And I've been using these sort of sprinklerizer tubes. They're very stiff and I just like the look of them. They just look really tidy. And the issue is you'll need one of these or a heat gun quite often to mount these barbed fittings, which are quite fun to mount when you don't have any method of heating up the pipe. Sort of similar here, I've used this sprinkler riser sort of irrigation pipe on the check valve here, and also the pressure tap which runs off the main air line. Eventually I'd like to probably replace this silicone tube with the more UV resistant irrigation lining, simply just because it'll last a bit longer, and I think it just looks a bit better being all black in that. Right, so what we got here is we got the riverbed gravel. Sort of chuck a bit of that in there. Oh, a stray one there. Sort of the idea of this, just to weigh it down a bit, as well as give it that bacteria growing area, like that. And then we're going to have to cut this sponge filter to make it fit. So I like to sort of just round off the edges of it here. Eventually it'll just sort of curve in and sort of hold like that. Just sort of tuck it in. Sort of wedging in like that. And there you have it. It's the natural looking nature / pond style sponge filter, sort of encased in a terracotta pot. I think that'll work quite well. It's particularly like you've got several layers of porous material, giving it a different stage filtration, whereas most sponge filters, they're sort of stuck with the one type. But the thing is, you need to realise that they're very basic and cheap to buy, so you do get what you pay for, and they do work effectively. I think they do. And why not make it better like that? I reckon that looks amazing. So the way this will work is, as the air lifts, I'm sure you all know this, but as the air lifts up through here, it creates a suction. The water will be sucked into this one, then it will go down through the gravel that we just put in, then back through the really fine porousy sponge, less porousy sponge filter. And then eventually back up here. And they're just so cost effective, these filters. They're very cost effective, and there's many ways you can even hide them in aquascapes if you're using them in aquariums. Let's cut this zip tie off. It's a bit of rubbish for me there to collect later. These are actually for trimming gardens and that, but I tend to use them for crafting things. Alright, so we'll get him in there. Just lower him down like that. Let's put him right there about. And we'll just plug him in. So I just use a cigarette lighter. Just warm him up like that. And once it's heated up, that should slide in. Oh, now that we got that in, let's give it a test run. So I've just got the check valve here. As you can see, it is working. See how the water in there has been stopped. It's not going back through the air system. I'll just open it up a little bit. It's a bit too much. You just want a nice gentle flow, especially if you've got floating plants. You don't want a really fast flowing sponge filter. It will disrupt the surface, causing your floating plants to eventually become waterlogged and die off. But in a pond like this, where I'm not having any floating plants, I'm just having a bit of Rotala, some Ludwigia, and this Amazon sword, which will eventually grow out of the water. It don't matter then if I have it on high pressure. But for now, I've just got it on a medium pressure. And as you see, it should sift all the particulates in there. And there you have it. Modified sponge filter for your little pond that you could have outside. And it blends into the pond look quite nice. Thanks again for watching. This is RS3 Ignited. Talk again soon.